All right, welcome back. Mark Cuban had some words of advice for Reddit editors and traders this week online after shares of GameStop fell by as much as 67%. It's been quite a ride for those shareholders. During an Ask Me Anything guide to corporate culture, which you can get right now. Also back with us, Seth Denson, healthcare analyst and author of The Cure, a blueprint for solving America's healthcare crisis. Heather and Seth, great to see you both.
Hey, John.
Good to be here. All right, so I think what Mark Cuban is saying here is really important. Everyone excited about the stock rallies at GameStop and sticking it to the man and all that other stuff. But Heather, if you don't actually go to the store or purchase things from them, the stock is not going to be worth anything. And a lot of people took a pretty big haircut losing money with GameStop. But the important thing is here, when you invest in stocks, you have to really think about the fundamentals. Is it a good value? It can't just be a cool thing to do, right?
Well, aren't you buying a ton of video games? I've seen you in the stores, John, on the weekends. That's what you do in your spare time, right? No,
Right.
I mean, the millennials are buying a lot of video games if you're home during the pandemic and you're bored. But you're right, it's not coming from the stores. They quadrupled their e-commerce sales in 2020. So it is coming delivery and online sales for GameStop. That's what it's all about. It's not about the brick and mortars, but a stock that was up over 1,600% at one point in time. And right to say that he wants long-term investors and not gambling millennial day traders in the stock market. But I can't blame anyone for taking a profit because over the long run, this stock has had a tremendous run because of this massive short squeeze that put some of the hedge funds really out of business. And maybe they're saying, hey, the fundamentals don't justify the price where it is right now.
You know, I was joking with some friends of mine. We went out to dinner last night, and it wasn't that fancy of a place. It sounds fancy because they had valets there, but I heard the valets, Seth, talking about buying GameStop shares and how much money they had lost, and it reminds me of a saying, if, you know, the valet guys are talking about trading a certain share, you should probably get out of it. But, you know, I just wonder, you know, again, based on Mark Cuban's comments there, he's basically saying there's still a place for value investing in today's society. All this information flies around. Everybody wants to cash in and make a quick buck here. But his words are very important, are they not?
They are very important. And listen, we encourage investors all the time. You need to do your homework. You need to look at the fundamentals of a company. If you'd have looked at GameStop, you'd recognize that for 3 years in a row, they posted losses, that their 52-week low share price was down around $2. Listen, our innovative system has moved. We remember cassettes, right? Cassette tapes.
Oh, yeah.
Cassettes, then to CDs, and now all are digital downloads. And to Heather's point, that's where their revenue is coming from. But there's mass competition. And I think that if you looked at GameStop and you did a comparison of Blockbuster, you would have looked at a different way of how you might invest your dollars long term. And that's really the fundamental here, is you got to look long term at the fundamentals of a business. That's what Cuban is talking about, and more people need to do that.
The stories, though, around this Wall Street Bet subreddit is basically was a place for traders to go and talk about the ridiculous and crazy trades they once made. The names were hilarious as well. One of the main guys, his name was Deep Effing Value. I'll leave it at that. But, you know, when Heather, you look at how an online system was able to just kind of change things. This also got in the commodity world. Janet Yellen says they're taking a close look at this. What do you expect to change as a result when the dust settles from this?
Yeah, well, I think the SEC, and I'm a free markets type of gal, but here's the problem that I think Mark Cuban was referencing is that they were able to short more shares that are in the float. So what does that mean? It means essentially you're borrowing more shares than are available. There are shares outstanding, and there are shares in what's called a float, which is basically those that are publicly available, not the ones that are held by the company or restricted. So how in the world should you be able to bet for a stock to go down and borrow more shares to do that than there are available to the public? And a lot of investors are outraged saying, well, you shouldn't. So that would be maybe some smart, sensible regulation from the SEC. You allow short selling, but not more than are out there for people to short. I think you can expect that. FINRA is also looking at the gamification of trading, and the SEC is looking at market manipulation, which is hard to prove, but I don't think those are as likely as the short selling rule to come.
Seth, do you have any crazy stock purchases you want to talk about? Maybe a shake weight or something back in the day?
No. I'm taking my own advice and looking at the fundamentals of company, investing for the long term. I'm not much of a short-term guy.
Well, that's always the right play, right? That's what they tell you. Buy and hold for the long term. You look at these indices over the long period. if you hold on long enough, they say you always make money. But you guys know way more about that than I do. We'll check in with you guys next week as well. Heather and Seth, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, John.
All right. That's